Assistant City Clerk.
This is the pre-meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, June 11th. We have approval of minutes of May 28th and June 4th.
Any issues, anyone? Okay.
Appeals, we have requests for waivers of the noise ordinance at Tricentennial Park on July 13th from 11 a.m. until 3 p.m. at 3370 Sheringham Drive on June 22nd from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. and at Langham Park on August 31st from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m.
Any
Mr. President,
issues?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Davis.
This one in District 5, I'm going to request that this be denied. These folks have had just out of control parties before. They are not good neighbors, and I've just heard from all their neighbors that they're just against giving these folks any more waivers of the noise ordinance. So I'm going to ask that it be denied.
Penn, Gregory, are you good?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Madam Clerk.
Public hearings. Today is the public hearing to declare the structures at 613 Wellington Street, 4591 Cypress Shores Drive, and 3931 Point Road public nuisances and ordering them demolished.
Mr. David.
Good morning, Mr. President. I just have an update from Mr. Reynolds. You have two on the agenda this morning, 4951 Cypress Shores and the other one, which is 3931 Point Road. And both of them are in similar situations. We have air property and the owners do want to get permits to address the issues. One wants to get a permit to demolish, which is the Cypress Shores Drive. And the heirs for 3931 would like to get a repair permit. With both of these being a flood zone, it takes a little bit more time to get all the T's crossed and the I's dotted and the periods period so we can move forward. And if we could do 60 days to give them time to accomplish this due to it being in a flood zone, I appreciate it.
On both of them?
Both of them, yes, sir.
All right, no objection.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Michael Evans, comments about storm drainage problems at the Wave Transit bus stop near the Bay Hayes building. Monty Robinson requests the city clean the ditch behind his house and concerns about poor drainage due to street resurfacing.
Mr. President,
Mr. Davis.
Keisha told me this morning that the city had been out there and addressed the issue and that he doesn't appear to be going to come show up.
Okay. Reggie Hill, Fitness for Duty, Parks and Recreation Department, and downtown parking.
Could we also have the administration, ask the administration if they could be prepared for Mr. Evans' comments about the storm drainage problems at the Wade Transit bus stop, if they can have that addressed and everything. Okay. Thank you.
Ordinances held over. 64037, consider modification of a previously approved plan unit development for property located at 1109, 1111, and 1113 West I-65 Service Road North. 64038, consider a modification of a previously approved plan unit development for property located at 4464 and 4474 Halls Mill Road. Resolutions held over. 08, 507, 508, and 509 are approving award of item-based bid for medical equipment purchase orders to Carasoft for annual subscription for Concur travel management software and to Kimball International Marketing for guest chairs for Sullivan and Hillsdale Recreation Centers. 21-510, authorized contract with Vital Exam for wellness exams for the Mobile Fire and Rescue Department. 47-512 and 513 are assenting to the vacation of a portion of right-of-way on Meter Drive and consider a vacation of right-of-way fee for the vacation. 60-514, authorized issuance of subpoenas by special counsel.
I would like to ask our attorney, I know you have been in communication with the attorney that's leading this. Was wanting to ask you, Mr. Linder, what's the latest? Have you heard or anything from that? You know,
I spoke to the special counsel last night, and I've talked to the city attorney today, and it appears that the special counsel and the city have reached agreement on production of documents and witnesses. So the special counsel is okay with not issuing subpoenas to the city or to the city employees. That will all be done by agreement, and I believe they have more or less reached agreement on that. So what we're going to ask for today is that there is a new resolution that the assistant city clerk has prepared to put on the agenda that will authorize subpoenas only to the non-city entities that were 321Z and Chief Prine. And we're going to ask that you suspend the rules and pass the non-city subpoena requests today. The existing resolution, we're going to ask that you hold that over for 2 weeks. But again, it seems like agreement has been reached between the city and the special counsel. They're all satisfied with it. And that being the case, as long as that all goes through okay, hold it over for 2 weeks. And then it's entirely likely no action at all will be needed on the resolution at that point. It seems that Mr. Athanas is satisfied with the cooperation he's gotten, and I believe that's where we find ourselves.
Any questions or comments?
I mean, could we potentially hold this thing over indefinitely? I don't see, I understand, keeping it out there, the thought process behind that. But, I mean, in the day, if they are have they provided information to date that we know I guess where are we at on?
I think that's in process right now, Councilmember Woods, but it's up to the council. If you want to table it indefinitely and then recall it from the table, that's an option if the council wants to do that too. 2 weeks from today is going to be about, for practical purpose, that'll be about the deadline. Because again, it's entirely possible the special counsel will want to issue additional subpoenas based on what he finds. So about 2 weeks from today will more or less, it's the 45-day investigation period will run on July 12th.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks from today, realistically, if he's going to have any more subpoenas, he's going to have them about by then. So, but I mean, it's up to the council how administratively you want to handle that.
I mean, I would think that if we have the promise from the administration to cooperate, I mean, I wouldn't oppose tabling what this is right now, and then in 2 weeks, whenever he's looked through everything, and if he has more subpoenas, we prepare a more up to date and take it then. I mean, that would be kind of my thought. But we have subpoena power. I think that the administration knows we have subpoena power, so I don't see just hanging this out for 2 more weeks. I mean, I think we maybe should just table this, and then in 2 weeks, if nothing's changed, then we bring back another resolution. I mean, this resolution came about, from between Thursday afternoon and today. So, I mean, we can get a resolution turned around and I would be willing to take it without, withholding consensus. And I don't know. That's just my thoughts on where this is. I feel that we should table it. And then if we need to issue subpoenas, we do a full-fledged subpoena list in 2 weeks.
That's absolutely fine. Like I said, all the special counsel needs today are the non-city subpoenas that he has previously submitted. And again, we can take that up by consent today, do that, and we can table or hold this over or whatever the council wishes.
Any other council members?
I tend to agree with Councilman Woods. I think that the situation, if things don't work out, the situation at that time will dictate what we need to do in terms of an additional resolution. And probably the one that the one that's on the agenda now would be out of date. We'd probably have to come up with a new one. So I'm fine either way. But I tend to agree with Councilman Woods that we'd be better off just tabling the one that's on the agenda now.
Gregory.
I think that makes perfect sense because we were already talking about 2 weeks and possibly having more subpoenas at that point. And I think the point that Councilman Daves makes is correct, that what we have on the agenda now may certainly be out of date. So if in fact in 2 weeks or any other time down the road during this investigation, more subpoenas or different subpoenas are needed, then that is always a possibility. So we may as well just table this, get it off the agenda, and get those subpoenas that we know we have to get out the door done today, and go ahead and waive the rules and vote on that today.
You have anything, Mr. Penn? Mr. Reynolds? Ms. Carroll? Okay. Madam Clerk?
Ordinance is being introduced. 88039, ordinance deeming property located at 5842, also known as 5850 Carroll Plantation Road, not now needed for public or municipal purposes, and authorizing the sale to D.R. Horton. Consent resolutions being introduced. 31-515, authorize the
88039. I've gotten at least 2 calls on this property and about a second proposal that wasn't considered. And that second proposal was twice the value of the first proposal, also with a shortened time frame on moving forward with the proposal. I was also told that the second guy doing the proposal, that submitted the proposal, was unaware of the notice of bid or whatever at the time. In my mind, that presents again a definite conflict based on what I've been talking about now for the last 3 weeks when it comes to city property or an opportunity for proposal being open to the public. Again, this is a mounting issue where developers or individuals in the city are missing opportunity because of not either being informed or not enough information in places for this stuff to be out in the public for them to respond.
consent resolutions being introduced. 30,
Yes, sir. It was out in the public 3 times, 2020, 2021, and 2023 for open bids. So it was posted, it was advertised in the newspaper. There was a sign posted. We had an open bid process in the atrium. So that closed. We had it reappraised in 2023 to make sure that we were getting fair market values. There was D.R. Horton submitted. Again, it was an open bid process in the atrium. It took some time to negotiate the contracts, but it was all done in accordance to the city's real estate ordinance.
It's my understanding that the property was sold at half the fair market value.
I don't know the percentage of it, but it was below appraisal price. Yes, sir.
It's 35% of fair market value, and probably even less than that, based on what the appraised value was at the point in time of sale. I was also called several entities to see when it posted and how long it was posted. The time of posting was only for 1 week.
No, sir, it was 30. It was 30 days.
It may have posted 30 days, but from what I understand from the listing, it was there 1 week, spotted, and it was there maybe a week or 2 later, spotted. It wasn't continuous. You might want to call and check up. But the problem that we consistently have is that the opportunity for everyone to participate is lacking. We're not getting the types of responses that we need and that we deserve for things that we're trying to do, and it's causing missed opportunities. That's all I'm saying. And we need to do a much better job at what we're doing than how it is. And I'm not saying that you're not doing the best that you can, but what I'm saying is that people are missing opportunities right now to do business with us in these types of incidences.
So I would ask, just since we've said there are people have called, do you mind telling us who those people were?
I'll tell you what, I will give you the 2 people that have called after this meeting. Matter of fact, I'll even give you their contact numbers. You can call them yourself. Matter of fact, I'll say one publicly. One was Lewis Golden. He was the one that actually did the proposal on the property. His proposal was twice that of D.R. Horton, and I'm pretty sure you're familiar with that already.
So I'm of the opinion that we followed the letter of the law. If not, then we'll find out that we didn't. And so we put it out for bids 3 times. We didn't have, somebody till the last time come up and make a proposal. This property is situated next to a neighborhood. It's outside the city. And our thought is that what the city needs and what this area needs is housing. And so D.R. Horton is the person that wants to come in and put houses there. The other contractor who came to the, let's say, party a little late, wants to have an industrial development there. And so, yes, it may be below the appraised value, but the city council can approve the sale of a property based on all the information that's submitted to them. And so we'll just leave it in with you, how y'all want to proceed with this, but that was our rationale for moving forward with it.
Again, there was nothing stated about impropriety there. The statement was made that there were not as many people aware or capable because of awareness. I think that if our awareness was higher, we would get more people with the ability to respond to affordable housing, to be able to go after these types of properties and be able to actually enhance the value that the city has to the property. That is the target. And we're just not seeing that. To just get one response from D.R. Horton, and I think you said 20, 21, and 23. That is over a 3-year period. And if all we got was one response, then we need to be doing something a little bit better.
Let me ask you this question. Is there, if there's anyone who's contacted you all, anyone, about affordable housing in this area, let us know. You don't have to do that now, but let us know for sure. Or if there's anyone who who wants to build affordable housing, please let us know, or housing period, because that was really what happened here. And just so that we're clear, the offer from the other party, the one that Mr. Golden represents, came more than a year after. And so Ms. Stout, who just spoke to you, our real estate director, did negotiate with D.R. Horton, which is here, by the way, did negotiate with them for quite some time. And I talked to the attorney for the other entity, actually both attorneys. They're represented by Helmsing. It's Casey Commanders and Casey Pipes. And so talk to them, and they understand what's happening, and their offer is still out there should D.R. Horton not close. And so it's out there for us. But to the extent there's someone else who wanted to build affordable housing out there, let us know, because we want them to have their information on the table as well.
And that's simply all I'm asking. I mean, if more people know, there's more opportunity. All of you know that I'm fighting extremely hard for housing, especially affordable housing. I also know that this property is outside the city of Mobile and not within our city limits. And I know that we're trying to get the biggest bang for housing that we can. But when more people know, and our marketing scheme for it is stronger, and we're out there and we have the more entities that are trying to do this, then it's also better for us. And over a 3-year period, I find that something just doesn't sit right for me if we were trying to do this for 3 years and all we got was one response for housing.
Mr. President,
Mr. Reynolds and Mr. Penn.
I played ball at this ballpark. I know this property. The 210 days of due diligence, I don't like in this deal. I don't think that's a fair deal to the taxpayer. So I'd hope that before we approve this, D.R. Horton, chew on that and, come back to the table and figure out a shorter time period, because tying this property up for 210 days plus the year it's already been tied up, I think we can do better than that. Tighten it up, especially there's a competing offer out there. So that's where I'm at on it currently.
Mr. Penn.
Thank you, Mr. President. Since we know that we have a serious issue with affordable homes, and we stated that we have one business or organization that applied, wouldn't it be great to maybe even host a meeting and just get all the people in the city of Mobile who are interested in affordable housing, so we already can have that record? So when opportunities do present itself, we can send things directly to them. Is that legal? Is that possible?
Yes, and we do that.
Okay.
Yeah, we do that.
Okay. So with this particular incident that Councilman Carroll stated, the organizations and businesses that are doing affordable homes in Mobile, did they receive a letter regarding this property?
Don't know the answer to that question. I go back to your other question though.
Okay.
We did a big RFP when the treasury money came through and blasted out to everybody we could think of that might be interested. We held a meeting down in the atrium, the multipurpose room, had 30 or so respondents come. That was phase one of a two-phase process. That was to introduce them to the programs, walk them through all that. We then gave them our federal application, and about 7 of them came back. Only about 4 of them have turned one in. So that's really the issue. Is the threshold for federal funding is very high to get through the process. This particular property is not eligible for our federal funding because it's outside city limits. But Carly will probably be able to answer the second question.
So it was posted on the city's real estate page as well as the procurement page. There was an email blast sent out to realtors and the commercial broker exchange. And then there's a physical sign posted, a large sign with the city's website and offer information on it. So that's what's required under the ordinance.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for sharing the information. I'm glad that we were following the ordinance to the T. But I will look, just a suggestion, it's not a directive. A suggestion is that we get all the people, if they came down and we got their emails, and just send them an email and let them know that these opportunities are here.
Understood.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Parra, she said something that was really important right there. She said it was posted on the city's website and city's real estate page. If you are in everyday business in the city of Mobile, how often do you go to the city's real estate page? How often do you know to go that these things are being posted on our page? I mean, this is not an everyday process in the industry like this, especially in our city where people are so used to operating on the old-fashioned model of low bid on things or the highest bid when it comes to property. We got to do a better way of getting the information out to the public. Not to say that we didn't follow the ordinance. We just need to get it out there a little bit better. And that way, more people who have the resources to do this will actually know about it instead of the same 10 or 12 people that you always get and the 2 or 3 people that are responding to it will do it, or the 1 or 2 people that you just go to and say, we want you to do this, if that made sense to you.
Yeah, I don't know that the city's ever sold anything to D.R. Horton before, so I don't think it's the 2 or 3 people.
I would like to say this. I agree with my colleagues, Councilman Carroll, Reynolds, and Penn. And, and I believe that the administration doing all they can do. I ain't gonna say that. The administration is doing what they can do to help to put the information out there. But as I have stated to the administration before, it's the deliberate method and people not understanding. And I believe I know exactly what I'm talking about. But if we can work in that area, I believe things would be a whole lot better and come the concerns that Councilman Carroll have. But it's the deliberate method that people not really understanding. Madam Clerk.
Consent resolutions being introduced. 31-515, authorize the mayor to apply, accept, and receive a grant from the Alabama Department of Environmental Management for the Scrap Tire Marketing Program. $1 million, no local match.
Question.
Mr. President.
Question.
Carol,
Penn.
Let me go last. Penn, Gregory, and Carol.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm glad to see this. It's definitely needed. I do have some questions. How would it be if we, I know we're applying, and if we receive this grant, will it be implemented by our department, or is it bring an outside group? How would it work?
Good morning, everybody. This is specifically for Berkeley by the Bay. So this is part of the funding plan that we have to, take money off the top. So these big transformative projects, we're always looking for things to put it in. So this is a mix. So the recycled materials get mixed into asphalt. It becomes part of our bid for the project. And so we apply to the program, we provide all the information, they, decide on the award, and then it goes into part of our bid, and it takes, $1 million off the top because they're providing the material. So it would go for parking areas, parts of the road, the destination playground, the paths in through there, and other play area surfaces that are appropriate. You're welcome.
not what we were hoping it was. You know, once you started providing the information on exactly what this grant was, we also said, oh. We were hoping for $1 million to go toward collecting and getting rid of old scrap tires throughout the community.
I understand. This is actually, so it is recycled materials. So Liberty is the company that is the major collector of recycled tires in the state. So that's where the material is provided from. They ground it up, they shred it, and then they provide it, and it's mixed in as an additive. So it's helpful. It's been tested throughout the state. We've done 2 years of looking into this product, and we're happy with the results from other parts of the state that are using it. So we think it'll be a good product for Berkeley.
Well, you know, as you are searching for grants, if you so see fit, look for some that would help us dispose of all of these scrap tires that we find throughout the community. That too would be a terrific thing.
Yes, ma'am. Heard.
Just an idea.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Hold on, Mr. Carroll, then. All right, Reynolds.
were there other applications for scrap tires that are, strewn about our city? Did we put in grant applications? Grant
Same.
applications to get rid of those?
For use, it's the same sort of thing she was talking
No, we
about.
Well, I think if I understand this right, this is funding for this program. No scrap tires will be collected, I guess. Is that what? Okay.
That's right. We have consistently been on the same page as you all, hoping and wishing for $1 million to collect scrap tires. But there's a piece of legislation that we need to keep working on in Montgomery before we're able to do that effectively.
Well, I know that scrap tires, like Jen was talking about, can be used for just a myriad of different things, sidewalks, you name it, ground cover, fall surfaces, that sort of thing in parks. So they can be used. It's just a matter of what we're talking about is picking them up and doing something with them. So maybe that's a possibility down the road. And it's, as Ricardo was saying, any sort of legislation to help us collect those tires is, much needed. Yeah.
Mr. President,
Mr. Reynolds.
my question was more specific. My question was that we used our capacity and our grants department to win this grant, which, happy that we did win the grant, for $1 million, basically to go to Berkeley by the Bay, which is kicking off a whole new project. Did our grants department, did we allocate the resources necessary for our grant department to pursue a similar grant to collect all the scrap tires that are strewn about our entire city? Did we pursue those opportunities at such a vigorous rate as we pursued this one? I guess is my question.
No. And I understood your question, but I'm saying no, because we can't do that just yet as the city.
Why?
Because we don't have the legal capacity to be able to go out and enforce dealing with the scrap tire. So it's two-pronged, okay? It's two-pronged. We have to work directly with the county and able to do that right now under the current state law.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. Currently, right now, I can tell you a big pile of tires that are on Shipyard Road.
Right.
Huge pile. Okay. Do we have to have the county's cooperation to send a picker truck out there to pick those tires up off the side?
No. Just on the enforcement side, not the pickup side. Just on the enforcement side.
Why is the county involved in the enforcement?
Because state law limits our capacity on enforcement of scrap tires.
Inside the city limits.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean to tell me we can't even govern ourselves within the city limits on scrap tires?
Unless that legislation passed this last go around. No, because what you can do is, yes, we can go pick them up. All right. That's what we do. But I'm talking about enforcement. So just enforcement, not that we can't go around picking them up.
Enforcing what?
Writing tickets. So to prevent the problem. So, the ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's what we're stopped at. So we're stopped from stopping the problem as opposed to picking them up. So yes, we can go pick them up, but what we can't do is we can't on our own just stop people from going to pick them up.
Dave?
Yeah, comment and a question. We live in Alabama, and the Constitution of the state of Alabama circumscribes the power that municipalities enjoy. And basically, we can't do anything without the legislature allowing us to do it. And we run into this all the time, which brings up another question, Mr. Woods. Doesn't have anything to do with scrap tires. But All right, have we made application to the state under the monuments law to allow us to tear the Civic Center down?
No, because we don't have to, because it doesn't have a name on it. It's not named. It's not named after anyone.
Oh, I thought any building that was over whatever it was.
It has to, under the current definition, and the last piece of legislation failed, it's got to be named or significant to an event. And so our Civic Center didn't fall in that category.
Okay, great, thanks.
Good question.
Not named, but named after, labeled, like if it said, that's right, if it said Minute Maid, that's a totally different circumstance. It has to have a monumental name. Jenny, the scrap tire thing, did you write this? And I'm sorry, Ms. Green, I didn't mean to call you Jenny.
That's okay.
I got a bad habit of talking directly to my neighbors sometimes. Did you write the grant application?
So I work directly with our grants management department to prepare the application, which we're in the process of doing. We're at 90% plans for Berkeley right now. So we've been working on adding this as an alternate so we can isolate the costs for it and follow the grant procedures for ADEM.
I guess my question would be, is there another process for grant writing to maybe pick up tires? And then, oh, wait, just a second. And I hate to say this, but you're not picking up anything at Berkeley, right? We're not picking up tires, period. Because I was just going to tell everybody in District 2, bring your tires out to Berkeley and dump them.
This particular grant program, I know the name is a little bit confusing. I agree. It's specifically to provide already recycled material in the state. So yes, Mobile tires may be part of that have gone to Liberty, but it's specifically to provide the material. You can get it in a variety of ways. We're getting it as the asphalt mix. So the recycled asphalt, the recycled material with the asphalt. So that's specifically the entire point of the program. It has nothing to do with picking up tires. Yeah.
What would it cost us to write that grant for picking up tires? Do we know? And I know it's going a long way, but.
So wrong department, but we'd have to have an opportunity for a grant. We're unaware of any grants to which we have an opportunity for. But we'd have to have either from ADEM or from the federal government, some type of grant that would be applicable to this scrap tire. I do want to just comment on what Ricardo was saying, is that we really need legislation that allows us to go out in these shops that are changing tires, require an inventory, some type of inventory control, some way of how those tires are moved through the city, where they were taken to, and how they were disposed. Those are your bad actors when you see these big piles like Shipyard Road. And so that's the legislation that we're trying to get to, where we can have a tires czar go out to these small shops and make sure that they're maintaining their inventories. They don't just disappear.
Have we written it and proposed it?
We've tried for a couple of years to get it through the legislative session. I think y'all know what the problem was.
I wasn't here, so I don't know. Explain.
That's right. We can't get the delegates. That's right. And so now that situation has corrected itself, my understanding. I look forward to the next session and maybe we can get some of our local bills passed.
Mr. President, hey, can you give us whatever the legislative plan or what you were suggesting? We need to write our state legislator. I support that, and write letters and do whatever we need to do. But I think they also need to know that they have support from the council, particularly me, that we support this initiative going forward. So if you can give me that information so I can start writing letters and we can start going forward, I appreciate that.
I'll tell you, before the next session, as we prepare the bills that we need locally and throughout the state, probably a legislative workshop with the city council might be very helpful in order to move some of these bills and break down some of the issues that we've been having.
That would be helpful. I have more scrap tires in District 2 than anybody else does.
Because this is a local bill, correct?
Yeah.
It would be a local bill?
I believe it was a local bill just for class 2, but again, we had some issues there.
The city hired a guy. I think, to lobby for us or to handle our legislative needs. Wouldn't this be one of the things that should fall under his auspices when it comes to care and making sure that we get the things through that we need?
Yes, all of any bills of local interest to us, or bills that we do not want passed, is watchdogged very rigorously in Montgomery.
But I guess what I'm saying, shouldn't the groundwork be laid now if we're going to do this in the next legislative session?
The groundwork's been laid. We just need the votes.
Okay, let's talk about that a little later, because again, I don't know of the groundwork, and you're just telling me it's been there, and I haven't seen it or read it.
I've
So
seen the
when
bill.
When I get a chance to read it, we can talk more about it. I'm not trying to cut you off. I just don't know.
Okay. Again, I think a legislative workshop with council would probably help. Yeah.
Mr. President,
Mr. Reynolds?
I want to get back on topic, and that is us allocating $1 million to the Brooklyn by the Bay project. Okay, basically it's grant money. Tires were just an example because this obviously relates to tires, but is there not any concern about the capacity of the city to complete projects outside of downtown Mobile or anywhere else in the city? We got a civic center project. Right now, we got a new parking garage going under construction right now. We got a $300 million civic center project that we're going to have to tackle a tremendous amount of issues. We've got, the new developments over at the convention center. I mean, we've got a slew of projects going on, and it's drawing down on our capacity to do the sort of ordinary things that a city should be doing. I think, we should be putting more money into paving our streets, our roads. I mean, the calls I get ain't about Brooklyn by the Bay, or, they're about potholes, and they're about drainage ditches and all that sort of stuff. Well, if we draw all our capacity, our engineering staff and everybody else on these big projects, ain't got a whole lot left for these other things that I would say are most important to most of our constituents. So is there a concern from the city, infrastructure wise, compared to, say, a new pearl on the necklace?
Absolutely. So, Laura, when we came 10 years ago, how many grants was the city managing from the outside? And how many grants are we managing now? Okay, so 10 years ago, what was it, 30 million? Okay, so we have constantly tried to grow the opportunity to get grants from the outside, as evidenced by what she just said. And one of the things that we have learned, though, is that you've got to be very careful about what grants you accept, especially federal grants. Because if you get a federal grant for $12 million to rebuild Broad Street, and it costs you $20 million to rebuild Broad because of the timeline of it takes, then the city has to come up with the $8 million. So because of dealing with the federal government, we have slowed things down a little bit so that we don't have future liabilities because of inflation that is hard to predict right now. And so, I'd also say that even though we have some, I don't think you used the word eye candy, but the bigger projects, we haven't done many great big projects. The project with the airport is not, even though the city has contributed to it, it's not ours. The Civic Center is our single biggest one. And when it comes to federal grants regarding something like that or other grants, the thing that goes through our mind is, how do you get sponsorships from private companies to come in and put their money in it? How do you get the managing entities such as Live Nation or OVG put their money into it as compared to, I call it grant money. So yes, we're thinking about it every single day, trying to figure out how do we garner more money and spend it in the areas that we need it. And yes, there are potholes that need to be fixed. But I think that if Nick can give you a rundown on how much money is being spent on infrastructure compared to what it was, I would guess it's got to be 20-fold.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I wasn't talking about money. I'm talking about capacity. And capacity is, I would say, as thin as it could possibly be currently with the funding we have. we take on additional funding and put it in these other projects, the city can only manage so much.
We agree.
All right, so what I'm saying is that currently, if we allocate money, say, in our CIP, outside of resurfacing, maybe, we're looking at possibly 3 years.
Right.
By the time that money is allocated to the time it's actually put out on the street and it's realized by our taxpayer. So that's a concern for me, and it's a concern for many constituents, that it shouldn't take 3 years to allocate something and get it done. And it seems that it's a capacity issue with the city. So doing these additional projects that I know everybody's got grandiose plans about doesn't help that situation, in my opinion. If our focus truly is, the taxpayer, how do we get the capacity to an acceptable level where we can execute projects faster instead of taking on new ones that's going to keep drawing down on our capacity?
I appreciate your thoughts. Yes, I do. I follow you. And, capacity is an ongoing challenge. And so that's why we hire outside engineers to help us try to expedite. And anything specifically that you have that you suggest that we could do differently to improve that capacity, we'll be glad to visit with you about it. Yeah.
What were you talking about?
I got one suggestion.
Were you talking about?
Directly to mind. Let's clean up a pipeline as best we can right now. Get those projects that we already got, funded, that's already through design. Like, let's, focus on those and get them done and out the door before we, sort of take on new ones, slows up the rest. That's my question is, how do we continue to take on new stuff when we can't get done what we got? So that would be my suggestion, is maybe not take on new stuff until we get on backlog. Excuse me?
Except for anything.
No, I mean, just all projects in general, grant funds, whatever it is, and what we've got currently scheduled, let's tackle those. I know Brooklyn's been sort of on the agenda for some time. There ain't no money for that, not yet that I'm aware of. And so.
It's not just the capacity of the city, it's the capacity of the contractors. And I talked to a contractor the other day that can't take on any more work for a year and a half because he's that backlogged. And so I just wanted to point that out, that that is one of the issues. Using a third party for like Volker for the Civic Center project takes that capacity out of the city. But there was a time when contractors competed for city contracts. Now the city is competing for contractors. And if we really want something done, they're going to name their price to do it. So that's part of the problem we're running into.
Well, you're talking to completion and actual execution. I think he's talking to bringing on new stuff in design phase. But everybody has a legitimate point right here, Ben. I want you to think about it like this. If you allow everything in the hopper to complete before you start something, that's right. You got to feed the bear. If you got to feed the bear, and if you don't take on the next project before you have what's finished, then you're going to have a time period when we're absolutely doing nothing, and you don't ever want that to happen. Because at some point, if you don't take on new and start new while other work is progressing, then we'll get to a point of lull where we're not doing or creating any revenue generating projects, or any infrastructure projects are getting complete. It's just the way it works.
Mr. Davis?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I think a lot of good points have been made. I understand Mr. Reynolds' position. I think, though, that we need to think about where we are today versus where we were 10 years ago. Where we didn't 10 years ago, 11 years ago, we didn't have any money. We weren't doing anything. We weren't paving streets. We weren't fixing drainage. We weren't doing anything. We had public buildings with holes in the roof. We weren't doing anything. And it's a totally different situation today. And here we are complaining because we got plenty of money to do things and not enough, but we can't get it done because of the way that, just where we are in the economy right now. So I understand what you're saying, but I do think that we need to continue to move forward deliberately on all fronts. I'm happy to see this on Brooklyn by the Bay. I think Brooklyn by the Bay can be transformative for our city. And, do we have the money to do it all right now? No, but we got to be prepared, and we got to find funding for it as we go along that hopefully comes from someone else. Thank you, Mr. President.
Gregory.
Yeah, and not to keep beating this dead horse, but that's all true. I mean, we're all frustrated. Everybody is frustrated that we can't move any faster on the projects that we have. And I too remember the days when we had a lot of need, a lot of capital need, but no money. And then we have the money and, don't have the capacity to get everything done as quickly as we would like. But it just takes some time. And, over the years, I've learned to be more patient. And understanding how everything works. And I do have one really large project that is on its way to being complete, and that should loosen up some of that capacity, and that's Ziegler Boulevard widening. And you all know how long it's taken to get that done. We've been working on it now consistently since January 1st of 2021. And it is well on its way to being complete. So that's just an example of really how long things take to get done, but there's no reason to stop the progress going forward, any momentum with design, have it ready so that when capacity is available, you're ready to go. And that's why in our CIP, we plan ahead the way we do. Let's start design this year. Next year, we'll hope to do the contract. If not, the money is there for design to do it the next year. So it's just the way of the world. And unfortunately, we have to deal with it like everybody else does.
Madam Clerk.
37516, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a special events retail liquor license to Rock the Country on Cody Road North. 40, 517, 518, and 519 are declaring the structures at 613 Wellington Street, 4591 Cypress Shores Drive, and 3931 Point Road public nuisances and ordering them demolished. 60, 520, 521, 522, and 523 are determining appropriations to Tolmanville Crichton Community Development Corporation, Dodge Elementary School, and Distinguished Young Women of Mobile County serve a public purpose and approve payment. And then we'll have 60, 531 will be the resolution for subpoenas. CIP resolutions being introduced, 21, 524.
Put that on consent.
I don't think you can. I think that's.
You can.
Yeah, I was going to say it.
Okay, so you want to put it at the end? Okay, CIP resolutions being introduced, 21, 524. Authorized contract with geotechnical engineering testing for 2024 CIP resurfacing.
And we can go ahead and pass that today.
Yeah, that'd be terrific. Happy to waive the rules on this one.
You want to co-sponsor this, Mr.
Please add me as a sponsor.
Yeah, I'll make sure to add Mr. Reynolds as a co-sponsor on this one.
Thank you for the reminder.
Resolutions being introduced, 08, 525, approved purchase order to Dade Paper Company for portable restroom cleaners for Parks Department, $30,068.15. 08, 526, approved purchase order to JHCC Holdings for repair to Chevy Tahoe, $16,313.60. 08, 527, approved purchase order to Pioneer Manufacturing Company for portable volleyball poles, bases, pads, and nets for the Parks Department, $17,040. 08, 528, approved purchase order to SASO for traffic sign solar flashing beacons for traffic engineering, $19,600. 21, 529, authorized contract amendment with Osprey Initiative. It's a $75,000 increase. 31, 530, authorize the mayor to apply, accept, and receive a grant from the U.S. Department of Homeland Security for the fiscal year 24 Port Security Grant Program, $891,563.71 with a $222,250.95 match requirement. Announcements.
And you're going to add in
Yes.
65. Okay.
Yes.
Council,
Mr. President,
Two things. I'll wait until after.
Mr. Penn and
Yes.
Mr. Carroll.
just a reminder, we'll have our entitlement committee meeting today at 1 p.m. in the conference room. We will be discussing, of course, affordable housing. We will have a presentation by Jamie Roberts and his team, as well as cooperative district information. So thank you.
Mr. Carroll.
Also, during that entitlement committee meeting, I've asked Corey if he would let the council know that we will present the cooperative capital district to you guys today as well, how it works, how it's structured, and all of that information. As I've talked to y'all guys before, we've talked to the county and everyone else. I think it's now time to talk to the council. I've asked for a meeting with the administration several times. Haven't had that meeting yet, but I don't think it'd be any problem to talk to you guys about it and lay it out and let you see what it looks like. I also like to revisit 88039. It was mentioned that the ordinance lays out the way that we do the notifications. Mr. Linder, I'd like you, if you would look at 88039 in the ordinance and the way it is advertised, to see if there's a way that we can amend the ordinance to where advertising could be just a little bit better as far as public announcements and how that goes, if at all possible. And what was the other one? I've forgotten what the other one was, but there were two I wanted to revisit. If I can't revisit them now, I'll do them at 10:30.
Yeah. Anyone else? Anything from Mr. Mayor?
So since the last meeting, and obviously hearing your concerns about the funding of Amtrak and us shouldering that entire cost, I reached out to the governor's office and spoke to the chief of staff, as well as the state finance director, Bill Poole. I also reached out to John Driscoll, the director at the port. And after those conversations, kind of thought that maybe an equal sharing of a third would be something that would be palatable. The reception I got from the governor's office was, I'll say, very warm and supportive. The challenge that they have at this moment in time is that the budget has already been passed. And so there's not let's just say we're talking about $1 million contribution by each of the three entities. It's $1,016,000. And so they have agreed in good faith effort to either the next legislative session or between now and that session to go into the various departments that may have the funding to see if they can come up with 1/3 of the cost for funding the $3 million for Amtrak. They just could not put their finger on a bucket of money right now to say that we can do this because they don't have that authorization. As far as the state docs goes, they were in agreement to pay their 1/3. And the way that would work is that we would have two different intergovernmental agreements. There'd been an intergovernmental agreement between the city and the port. They would pay us $1 million. And then the next agreement would be with the city and the state, and they would pay us $1 million. They would reimburse us $1 million. From the port's perspective, John Driscoll is bringing it up with his board this week to make sure that they are in concurrence with that. And so we are working on, let's say, some of the language for those agreements, but wanted to let you know that's where what we've been able to do thus far is finding funding to help share in that cost. A comment that I made to the port and to the state was that the city of Mobile, because this is really a lot of it's tourist generated. And if you listen to what David Clark's projections are, what it could be, in 2 years and 3 years, we'll know whether this thing is working or not. So as concerned as we are about setting a precedent for the future, if we remember what we've said we were going to do and what we thought would happen with the amount of visitors and all, let's say year 2, year 3, it doesn't happen. I don't see that the city has an obligation going forward. The caveat that the port has, and I know that the state aligns with them, and really we do too, is that as part of this agreement and this funding is that there would be an agreement as part of our lease agreement, I guess, Ricardo, is that right? That the Amtrak could not go north and east with their services during this 3-year period. And that it would be subject to, if they decide to do that in the future, there's got to be some studies to show that it does not adversely impact the docks. So we think that we've checked the boxes from the port's perspective. The situation with the state is I actually saw Bill Poole yesterday, and we had talked to him a week ago, but he told me they were already trying to see if they couldn't find money that is in different departments this year so they can fulfill their obligation. So that's where we are, and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Who signs the deal with Amtrak?
We do.
So we're still liable. Makes it more powerful though.
So
What
that would be
happens-
correct.
Yeah. What
And so
happens-
if the state, let's just say the docks, from my perspective in dealing and the ease of they have the ability to make a decision differently with less bureaucracy than the state does, the docks, I'm of the opinion, is going to come to the table with their third. If for some reason the state decides they can't do it, then the city of Mobile would be strapped with 2/3 of it.
Mayor, how long do we have before we need to sign the document or the agreement with Amtrak?
Ricardo, how long before we?
There's no definitive time, but you're probably looking at the next 60 days, we'll be bringing something to you.
So probably the port can get an answer.
Oh, they'll have an answer.
And it looks like though that the state will come up with a third. I mean, that's the indication that you're getting. I mean, it's
That's
not
the
a
indication I'm getting.
done deal, but that's the indication.
That's correct. And so also, let's just say the state does not come up with the money this year, okay? The way the payment schedule works is that it's $500,000, $1 million, and $1.5 million. So in year one, the state, let's just assume they can't come to the table. Then the port already knows that they would be paying $250 and we would be paying $250. That is kind of as we would step through this, okay? Knowing that we're going to front, the port and the city will front the first year, and then we'll work out the arithmetic to figure out the future payments. My feeling is if the state comes to the table with the money, they'll probably come with a lump sum. That means it would really kick us down the road as far as when we have to pay, other than the first year.
Well, I really appreciate you doing that because that's exactly what the council was talking about, trying to get the state, and of course the port is a bonus, but trying to get somebody else to help fund this operation rather than just the city of Mobile. So that sounds like a really great effort, and it would be a much better deal for the city of Mobile. So thank you for doing that.
Yeah, agreed. But one question, what happens after year 3?
That's a Ricardo question.
There's no agreement.
There's no agreement after year 3.
So no funding agreement. Lease still continues.
Yeah, but
No
we're still,
funding.
we're still up in the air after year 3.
Yes.
If we choose to continue, is that the key word there? If we choose to continue.
If you choose to continue, you still got to negotiate another funding agreement.
Another,
It's 0 to whatever. So but we'll know whether or not it's working. I did want to make this additional point that we do plan to put whatever intergovernmental agreement we have on the funding side for the port up at the same time as we would put the Amtrak up. So we would at least know for certain about the $1 million on that side.
I don't know about the rest of these guys. I mean, I asked a lot of those questions myself. I think we're at a point in time now. I think you guys should just move forward with it and let's get it done.
And just
Thank-
a point of
thank you.
clarity too, the northeast agreement, does that come through the funding agreement or does that come through the lease agreement?
Comes through the lease agreement. Yeah. But we won't sign the lease agreement. I mean, all of it comes together at the same time.
Is there a way you guys could set a time frame for the council on when you choose to present this to everybody? Let us know so that we could be very versed in it.
It's really the lease agreement now is in Amtrak's with their attorneys. And whenever they come back, then we'll have an opportunity to determine a timeline.
We did not speak extensively about the lease agreement when they were here.
Right.
So that is kind of, and I don't even know if we can talk about that
So-
publicly.
I will So when we get to that point, once we have definitive terms, my plan would be, because this involves a lease and the sale of city property, to take you all with Mr. Linder into executive session, but also to meet with you one-on-one and talk to you all about it if need be. But that's the plan once we have definitive terms.
President,
Yeah.
I just want to commend you, Mayor, for doing that. I support it anyway, so I thought it was just a win-win, so it didn't matter to me. So this is just a bonus. So I'm ready to see it. Let's move forward. This is an opportunity to bring quality of life to the city of Mobile and fix some issues with the railroad track and so infrastructure. This is just amazing. So thank you so much for reaching out to the port as well as the state.
Glad to do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Anything else from this council? Okay. We see each other at 10:30.
Mr. Bird.